All right. We're on to lesson 86 of the workbook of A Course in Miracles. And I was saying yesterday on a video, this is a process and a practice. And the Course, you really have to practice it. It's not just theory, but it's theory and practice together. That's what makes it what it is. And so I was thinking today, let's say it's a practice, it's a process, and it's a promise. And the promise is that if you do the practice and you're patient with a lot of P's here, right? If you do the practice and you're patient with the process and you let the changes happen as they will, the promise is that you will see the results, you will see the fruits. And that's why with anything that you do in life, whether it's the Course or whether it's any practice that you have or any ideal to which you're striving, you do have to put the time in, put the practice in, be consistent. And that's the key to everything, right? Be patient with it, and it will bear fruit. So here we are, lesson 86. Let's go through the lessons previous that are leading up to this. We have lesson 81. These are all review lessons. For that day, lesson 81, there was I am the light of the world, and then forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Lesson 82, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. And then let me not forget my function. So my function is forgiveness, bringing the light of the world. And then lesson 83, my only function is the one God gave me. My function of forgiveness is the one God gave me. My happiness and my function are one. So when I forgive, when I do this practice of forgiveness, that will bring happiness. Love created me like itself. So God is love, and love created me like itself. And love holds no grievances. And then lesson 85, my grievances hide the light of the world in me. So I have a choice between grievances, holding grievances, or forgiving. If I forgive, I will know the light of the world, and I will bring the light of the world to the world. And if I hold on to my grievances, I will remain in the darkness, and I will keep my brethren in the darkness as well. My salvation comes from me, can come from nowhere else. I have to realize that it's up to me. I have to do the work. I have to put the practice in. No one can do it for me. I'm the only one really that can do it. And yeah, let's just go from there. Lesson 86 today. These ideas are for review today. Number 1, only God's plan for salvation will work. Only God's plan for salvation will work. And that's from lesson 71. Here's Jesus' commentary. It is senseless for me to search widely about for salvation. I have seen it in many people and in many things, but when I reached for it, it was not there. I was mistaken about where it is. I was mistaken about what it is. I will undertake no more idle seeking. Only God's plan for salvation will work, and I will rejoice because his plan can never fail. Paragraph 2, these are some suggested forms for applying this idea specifically. This is all in italics. God's plan for salvation will save me from my perception of this. This is no exception in God's plan for my salvation. Let me perceive this only in the light of God's plan for salvation. Okay, and then paragraph 3, this is from lesson 72. This is lesson 72 now. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. And this is Jesus' commentary. Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that God's plan for salvation will not work, yet only his plan will work. By holding grievances, I am therefore excluding my only hope of salvation from my awareness. I would no longer defeat my own best interests in this insane way. I would accept God's plan for salvation and be happy. Paragraph 4, specific applications for this idea might be in these forms. and this is all in italics. I am choosing between misperception and salvation as I look on this. If I see grounds for grievances in this, I will not see the grounds for my salvation. And then this calls for salvation, not attack. All right, so let's go through this a little slower. So these ideas are for review today. Number 1, which is lesson 71. Only God's plan for salvation will work. So God has a plan. I don't really fully understand what the plan is, but God's plan for salvation is the only one that will work. And remember, yesterday we had my salvation comes from me. But ultimately it comes, now Jesus is reminding us, well, your salvation comes from you because you have to choose it, but it's really God's plan for salvation. It's not your plan for salvation, right? It's the authority problem. Let me not think that I have the plan. This is God's plan that I'm tuning into, that I'm opening to accept what that plan is. And that I realize that I don't know. If left to my own devices, I would mess it up. So let's go on. It is senseless for me to search widely about for salvation. I have seen it in many people and in many things, but when I reached for it, it was not there. So left to my own devices, I would seek for salvation outside of myself. I would forget that I have to choose to be happy. I have to choose to be at peace. No one can give me that. That is something I have to accept for myself. I've been looking for love in all the wrong places. I've been looking for love in too many faces, as the old song goes. I think there's a couple songs that say that, actually, that I'm aware of. So I've been looking for love outside of myself. I've been saying that unless the world changes or unless someone in my life changes, I will not be happy. Their lack of getting with my program is making me unhappy. Like if they would just do something different, then I would not be upset. And that is BS. That's not true at all. That's a complete lie. So it is senseless for me to search widely about for salvation. I have seen it in many people and in many things, but when I reached for it, it was not there. Everything that I thought was going to make me happy really did not, right? I can't get no satisfaction in this world. I can't find it in this world. I can't find it in things. I can't find it in the physical manifestation. I was mistaken about where it is. I was mistaken about what it is, right? I don't know what salvation is. I don't know where I can find it. I will undertake no more idle seeking. Only God's plan for salvation will work, and I will rejoice because his plan can never fail. His plan is in my mind. My mind is one with God's mind. Ideas leave not their source, which means God's plan for salvation is right there in my mind. It has never left. It's still there. And I can tune into that, and I can follow that. These are some suggested forms for applying this idea specifically. This is all in italics. God's plan for salvation will save me from my perception of this. Right? I can look at this. If this is disturbing me, whatever it is that's disturbing me, I can say to myself, I need not be disturbed by that because God's plans for salvation not only will work, but it has worked. It already, the world is already saved. I just have not accepted that yet, right? I'm warming up to that idea. Then the next one is, this is no exception in God's plan for my salvation. So nothing need disturb me. That means nothing. Not one thing in this world need disturb my mind and need me take me away from the peace of God, which is that everything is perfect. Everything is in perfect divine order. There is nothing out of place. There are no mistakes. There are no coincidences. There are no, there's nothing random here. Although it does appear that way on the surface for sure. life seems to be a random concatenation of events and circumstances, but Jesus is here to tell us that that's not the case. Last one here is, let me perceive this only in the light of God's plan for salvation. So let me see this in the light of God's plan for salvation, which is that there is no problem. I need not have any problems. If I have any problems, I have not accepted God's plan yet. And these are only suggested. Jesus is giving us some suggestions for how to practice this idea for the day, but you can also put it into your own words. Okay, he's just giving you some suggestions. So you take the idea, only God's plan for salvation will work. You remind yourself of that throughout the day, and you might add some related thoughts to that. Okay, and he gave you some examples. So next one, lesson 72, holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. So then commentary, holding grievances is an attempt to prove that God's plan for salvation will not work, yet only his plan will work. By holding grievances, I am therefore excluding my only hope of salvation from my awareness. I would no longer defeat my own best interests in this insane way. I would accept God's plan for salvation and be happy. Specific applications for this idea might be in these forms. I am choosing between misperception and salvation as I look on this. Right? He uses the word misperception. Like, I can misperceive this, or I could perceive it correctly. I could perceive it in the light of true vision, which Jesus also calls Christ's vision or the Holy Spirit's vision, which means I can look at it in light of the idea that there is no problem, right? I can look at it in the idea from the standpoint of oneness, that God is only one, there's only one reality, there is no separation, and there's nothing to be worried about or fearful of. There's no problem unless I make a problem. That's my choice, and that's a choice that's always up to me. If I see grounds for grievances in this, I will not see the grounds for my salvation, right? So I can either hold on to a grievance and think that the grievance is justified. That's what grounds means, right? I can think there's justification for my grievance, or I can accept that there is no ground for my grievance, and I can accept that I can let go of this grievance. I can choose forgiveness. I can choose to see my brother in the light. I can choose to see to see the light and the love of God wherever I go, or I can choose grievances. It's up to me. If I want to be upset and if I want to remain in misery and suffering and pain, I will choose my grievances. And if I want to be free and be at peace and light up my everyone's world that I come in contact with, then I will choose to be happy, right? And choose to be at peace. And the last one is, this calls for salvation, not attack. This calls for salvation, not attack. So, in other words, if you feel like someone is doing something that, and you feel like, and I gotta attack this person, right? Usually it's not completely conscious when we do, but when we get into that attack mode, Jesus is saying, take a step back and remind yourself, only God's plan for salvation will work, and God's plans for salvation has no attack. Love does not attack. Love needs no defense. If I attack, or if I hold a grievance, I've only attacked myself, and I've only hurt myself, and I don't want to keep hurting myself. I want to remember what myself really is, and my true self cannot be hurt. My egoic self can be hurt, and I'm just digging the hole deeper, and I'm just giving energy to that false self when I hold on to grievances. I'm getting lost in a false identity. I'm digging myself deeper into that hole. So Lesson 86, only God's plan for salvation will work, and holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. And I don't want to keep attacking God's plan, and I don't want to keep attacking myself, and I don't want to let my grievances get in the way of happiness and peace, of my own happiness and peace, and my brothers and all others that I come in contact with. I want to bring the light and the love of God to everyone I meet today and marching forward in the march of time until time ends. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. That was lesson 86. Please always feel free to leave a comment or a question. I'm going to start saying more like and subscribe because let's get the message out to more people. I think this course can be transformational, can be very helpful. I also think that maybe not the majority of people are quite ready for it yet. It's, it is quite a lot. It's a very simple message, but it can be very, in a way, it can be threatening and it can be difficult to understand, and you got to give it a little time and give it a little bit of your attention, right? So, but that said, there still are many people that are doing the course. So, I would be mistaken, I would say, if I didn't want to try to get these videos out to more people and see if this could brighten the day of more people out there. So thank you for helping, and I'm going to do another video right now, part 2 of the video from yesterday where I was talking about, I was giving like an intro to A Course in Miracles. I'm going to say a little bit more today. All right, thanks. See you very soon. Om.